Hello, and welcome to this live interview series showcasing supplier diversity here. I'm your host, Sandra D'Souza, CEO and founder of Elect. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are going to have a conversation with Anne McKeown, and she's here as the founder of 2Empower, and she's going to talk about her journey as a business owner with us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program today, Anne. How are you?
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. I'm delighted to be here. I love what you do, and just thrilled to be part of it. So thanks.
That's great. So I don't do intros. I always get our guests to do the actual introduction. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Oh, thank you. So basically, I work with women. My tagline is that I help women to step up, speak up, and show up with confidence in business and life. And that basically sums it up. I see a lot of really capable women who lack confidence or belief in themselves, and don't put themselves forward, or worried about, I can only do half those things, where a male counterpart will be racing forward to get the job, even though he can also only do half of the things. About women taking responsibility for their own outcomes in life, and having the courage and the support to say, you know what, I can do this, and that to have ambition is okay, and to give ourselves permission to step up into a leadership role, or start your own business, or just achieve whatever it is that you really dream of achieving in your life.
I think that's wonderful work that you're doing, especially we know that those are the type of challenges many women have. Do you want to just also share a little bit the type of, I'm not saying type of women, but what type of roles would they typically be in that they could benefit from your coaching?
Well, it's interesting because often women in corporate who just feel like a cog in the wheel, they feel they've got more to give. But they're not really given the opportunity to have a voice, or have an opinion, or to make a difference. And they just want to be able to maybe improve their communication, in that how can they be seen and heard. And often what happens as well is that women will come, and it might initially be about work, but the things that we work on improve their confidence and their relationships in all areas of their life. And that can be small business owners as well.
Great. Well, thanks for clarifying that. So now we want to get into the juicy stuff. We obviously we're all here to talk about supplier diversity, and I'm very passionate about supplier diversity, with Elect being the marketplace for small businesses to connect with corporate buyers, and the small businesses come from all the different backgrounds that we just want to highlight. And so with you being a women-owned, women-led business, with the work that you're doing, do you want to share your personal journey of how you started your business?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to do that. And I love to share, to be able to encourage other women. And I have to say, I love what you're doing with Elect, because you're giving
thank you.
this platform for people like myself, when you're a small business owner, to be able to get seen and heard in a corporate organization, particularly if you've not worked in corporate in Australia. It can be very difficult. So hats off to you for the great business you've created.
Thanks, Anne.
I worked for corporate in the UK. I was with BP Oil in the UK, and I worked with them for 8 years as a sales coach. And what I found very interesting in doing that was that it was always the same people that were successful, no matter what the product was that we brought out. And it started to put me down that path of, you know, what inspires human nature, what makes us tick, what makes us successful. And what I realized was it was their mindset, their belief in themselves, the practices, the goals, the routine, the habits. And that when they got into a running streak and a winning streak, then they just repeated those same patterns. But the people that didn't do so well, whose maybe belief in was a bit more negative, or they were unsure, They would get into the negative mindset, and that would, no matter what the product, destroy their success. And so when I came to Australia, I wasn't working initially because my husband was traveling, my kids were in school, was buying the house, buying the dog, doing all the things that you do as a mom, getting them into the community and volunteering. And I really enjoyed that time. But I hit 50, menopause, wanting change, feeling bored, too young to retire, but I'd lost my confidence as well in that, like, what have I got to offer? What can I do? So I went to see a coach, and she said to me, why don't you set up your own business using all the skills that you learned through being a sales coach? I also, in the 1990s, a long time ago, studied NLP, and all through the 2000s, positive psychology. And I actually worked in a high school with kids that were very capable, but not doing well because they had nobody guiding them. They had no focus, they had no structure, and they didn't believe in themselves. So she said to me, bring all of that together. And I think just because of the way I was feeling, I was like, do other women feel like this? And so somebody said to me to start a meetup group initially. So I put that out there, and I had 60 women sign up in the first week.
Wow.
And it was called Women's Self-Empowerment Meetup. And that showed me that there is this need where we lose that belief in ourselves. And so I started to coach those women at the meetup. And then some of them would say, look, can you coach me individually? I don't really want to be in a big forum. And that's really where my business started. They would come to the house, sit on the sofa. I'd coach them one-on-one, get feedback, what worked, what didn't, how could I improve? And then I did an online program for groups. And just last year, I started to work with some corporate ladies who want to step up into leadership roles, or they want to be able to kick the goals they're maybe not quite achieving. They're already in leadership, but they're not quite achieving what they want. Or they're maybe an executive and they feel that there's nobody that they want to talk to really honestly and show their vulnerability because they don't feel that that will be appreciated. And they need someone that's a sounding board, that's able to help them see things in a different way. Because we've all got our blind spots, haven't we? And we can't see them because there are blind spots. So we need someone else to help reflect back on where we're maybe missing the mark.
That is so true. And I just wanted to just quickly add that the way that you've started your business is what, you know, is known as like the lean startup, that you firstly find your customers. You didn't go through the whole phase like, oh, let me get an office, get the stationery, get the branding, get all of that. It was the way that you're supposed to start your business, is see if there is a demand for the work that you enjoy doing, and if people are willing to pay for it. And then you worry about all the mechanics, and then you've you've added layers of different offerings on top of what you start off with. So is that a good summary of?
It is, and it's been a process, to be honest. And what's more interesting is that as my business has grown, I've grown. Like I've learned a lot about myself, about marketing, because when this coach first said to me, you should start your own business, I said, I couldn't do that. I don't know anything about employing staff. I don't know anything about tax. Like the word business conjured up this image in my mind of something really overwhelming. And then she broke it down and she said, no, just start small. And that was the best advice, because I was able to take it at my own pace. And actually it happened quicker than I would have expected.
And it's fantastic. I think it's the basis of starting a business that you know can grow, you know, more. I mean, the chances of, like, I know I'm not being very articulate right now on a live interview, but ultimately the statistics for small businesses when they start in the first 2 years are pretty horrendous. 80% of them fail in the first 2 years. And I've seen many that they think this is what the clients want, this is what the market wants, and this is what we've come up and trying to push it out there, where that may not be the right product, or the service. It's about that, starting small, like testing the market, seeing if this is what, get a couple of customers, get it right, where the demand is, and then amplify it, isn't it? And scale.
Yeah. And be open to that feedback.
Yeah.
When I first started, I tried to do things with teenage girls because I'd had the experience in the high school. And the first event that I organized, I only had 2 teenage girls sign up. Even though all the mums had said to me, yes, Anne, do it. That'd be great. They'd love it. And I felt like a complete big fat failure, and no, this is no good, and negative self-talk and everything. And then one of the mums said to me, but Anne, you organised it on a Saturday morning when all the kids are at sport. And I was like, well, duh. And she said to me, if you did it on a week, on a full day during the school holidays, parents will pay a fortune to have their kids coached, trained, but also looked after. And so I redid it, and it was a roaring success. And so if I hadn't gone at it again, I would have just thought, oh, well, that's just not for me. They don't want what I want, but what I've got to offer. But you've got to just keep then tweaking and putting it back out there.
And that is the part of the customer feedback, isn't it? The market feedback of, it wasn't a complete flop. It's just that you needed to tweak it based on the feedback and getting that roaring success. So that's really interesting. I guess, thank you for sharing your journey and how you got to where you've gotten. Do you want to just talk about the challenges, especially when it comes to working with the corporate sector, or not even so much challenges, probably the transition moving from high school to businesswomen to corporate? How did you do that?
I think for me, it was almost like coming full circle, because I actually loved, as a young woman, the corporate environment. I loved when I worked with BP Oil, and I understood that culture, if you like, that I think as a stay-at-home mum, I quite missed it. And so a way of starting with the women in the meetup group was a way of building my own confidence again. And then for me, business is all about relationships. And I know you think that too, you would agree with that. Yeah. And so some of these women that came to see me would then say, actually, you've helped me so much. Can you help the women in my team? And then those women in the team would say, oh, my husband's company would love this. And the husband maybe worked for a larger organization. So it was more through just referrals and getting to know people. And really, it's about getting results. I can be coaching hundreds of women, but if they all leave and don't give me testimonials and they don't see change in their life, then I'm not going to get more referrals, So it's is what you're doing life-changing? Are you transforming people's mindsets? Are you helping people get the results they want? And if the answer is yes, then I think it's easy to get into corporate as it is to work for a small business. It's just having the connections. And one of the things that I did start to do was reach out to HR managers, and most of them are women. And when I talked about helping these women to step up into leadership positions, I actually found them very open to that idea. And many of them themselves were women, and they were like, yeah, no, it is time for us to do that. And even some of the men in these organizations were saying, we want women to step up, but often women hold themselves back because they're worried, can they cope with all the family commitment? Will they be too exhausted? Will they, fight?
I laugh, sorry. Because I guess those are the perceived challenges that sometimes women themselves or being placed upon, the group to hold themselves back. Yeah,
because if a guy goes for the job, and this is a huge generalization, but normally he just has to think about the job, and I'm going to get to work at 7 and I'll leave at 7 and the rest of my life will be taken care of. Whereas the women's thinking about the kids and the cleaner and the, getting the car serviced and getting the social stuff done and then when she's in work doing the job. So we do weigh up more and try and find that balance. And so I have found that, within corporations, that actually they're very open to it.
Mm. Okay. Well, that's certainly, I guess your magic, if I could call it magic, was getting proof, or getting the results of your work and validation of your work, getting the testimonials, and also then that's where the referrals and the word of mouth comes in. Just building that relationship and validating your work, and that's how you've grown with them, in terms. And so, do you mind if I put you on the spot and ask you, where do you see yourself with your business in terms of growth?
In the future?
Yeah.
Look, I have a really fantastic lifestyle, and I chose to do this because I needed a purpose.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to rule the world. It's really
No
important.
global domination plans?
No, not really. No, no. I think I'd like to make my change, my contribution will be one woman, one community, one team, one organization at a time, and really get to depth with that individual, that team, that organization, where they feel that there's real change and that I've really made a difference. And I don't want to have so many clients that by the time I've got someone at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're getting a really poor version of me. I want it to be that I have that balance where I can enjoy, like I do paddling and I cycle, and I like to walk my dog and get out and have a really balanced. So I'm very choosy about how many clients I have and who I choose to work for and for how long. So that I can look after my own energy levels, and and I'm pretty much at full capacity at the moment. So the level of International Women's Week's been crazy.
Of course.
So March is usually a bit mad. But things will slow down again a wee bit in April, and then I can take on some new clients from April onwards.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, this is where I wanted to highlight, especially for the corporate buyers, that they don't always have to go and only engage with multinationals to deliver the services or to deliver the work. That you're obviously very talented with your work, which you've talked, you can bring in results. It's what organization needs, whether it's for, team building or their corporate leaders, whether they're women or men, and you can deliver the work, but you don't have to be a large multinational to do it, to work with corporate.
Yeah, and actually I think it's a shame, because when people start out with their business, they over deliver, they overgive, because they're trying to build a reputation and get a name out there, and they're enthusiastic, and they're really the people that they should be hiring, because they're just bringing this enthusiasm and energy with them. Some of the larger organizations, they're paying coaches, and the only thing that the coach is doing it because they're getting paid. They don't really have their heart and soul in it, because it's not their business. So I actually think that a lot of organizations do themselves a disservice by going to a big group.
Yeah. And we're not saying that big groups are not good for corporate buyers. We're just talking about diversity. It doesn't have to be just, only the big groups that can support the corporate clients. We're saying that the range of different businesses, small businesses, can also offer agility, offer the results that they're looking for as well. And so I guess
the big clients have the big budgets, so they can afford to do the marketing. So if your smaller businesses can't compete with that, then they can't get found and get known. That's why I love what you're doing.
Thank you. And that's why I guess I want to highlight as many small businesses as possible. So I guess, for if the corporate buyer or any buyers who are interested in your services, how can they find you?
I'm all over social media. LinkedIn, Instagram, you know, everybody, all the marketers tell you, you've got to be everywhere and all the touch points. But probably the easiest way would be my website, and that's just annemckeown.com. It's ANNEMCKEOWN. And of course, your platform, Elevate. And I have free resources on my website as well. If people want to, you know, I've got a free ebook there. I give a free 30-minute consultation to see where somebody's at and if I can help them, and if I can, point them in the right direction. So yeah, get in touch with me via my website or via you.
That's great. That's great. Yes. So that's AnneMcKeown.com is the website. And Anne is also part of our Supplier members on Elect, and you'll be able to find her on Elect Marketplace as well. So that's great, Anne. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Oh, one more thing, actually, before I forget, that every transaction on Elect, 1% of that funds gender equality project. So there is a social impact element when you do business on Elect. So make sure I haven't forgotten mentioning that.
Yeah,
so I managed to squeeze that in. Yes. Thank you again, Anne. I really appreciate you taking the time out on a Wednesday lunchtime to talk to myself and the audience that we have here. For everyone, this is great. Thank you for joining us. We will have our next speaker next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel, and we look forward to having you joining us for our lunchtime series. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Anne. Bye.
No problem.